Shabbat Shalom, guys. Shabbat Shalom. I hope you guys having a wonderful Shabbat. I'm going to get on into today's program. Have a lot of news, but I'm going to be mostly giving you things to go look at. A lot of news today. So I'm going to be giving you links on the screen and things to look at because I can't cover everybody. But let me go ahead and go through the click, subscribe, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think somebody asked me the other day about, oh, you've been on YouTube a while and you don't have many people. I'm not looking for many people. You sure send people to my channel. And I'm not monetized, okay? So I'm probably not getting as many subscribers as some people are, but I'm just glad to have this channel, period, people. Only God put me here to do this channel years ago. But we thank you so much for all your support and your prayers. And always share our channel, be good. Okay, share our channel with other people. I know the channel is kind of long, but like I tell people, I do a news forecast in the beginning of it. You can always scroll down and get to the meat of the matter. If you want to get into Bible reading at the end, you can do that. But I always cover news forecasts and things to keep people abreast of what's going on. So that's why my channel may be not getting as many clicks, because people don't like the long videos, but you can always scroll down to the meat of the matter, okay, people? But thank you so much. Click the like button, click the notification bell. Also, fair use notice in front of you, and the title and disclaimer. And so I'm going to get on over here to the channel now, because I have a lot of things to cover today. Before I get to the news, let me see what I got here. Song. I have a song I want to play from Vision for Israel. Vision for Israel. Baruch, Haba, Barry, and Batya Segal over in Israel. And we'll play his song, and then we'll get into some other news, clippings and things like that to show you just what you need to go watch on your own time. But today I am going to cover Monte Judah today from Line of the Lamb Ministries, because he have a lot of material that I agree with totally. He's doing a 30-minute video, and I'm going to play the whole video. I'm going to be going into David House a little bit. Just a little bit what he's talking about, and then we're going to get into the Bible, pretty much Isaiah 57th chapter. So that's what I'm going to do, to share some things, and then I am going to share a little testimony, a little bit of it, 5 minutes maybe, a lady video someone sent me, and I'm going to play just a little bit of it from Halloween, okay, about Halloween, her experience with Halloween. Used to be an ex-witch. So, we need to be keeping our children abreast to these things going on around us, because of all the things happening right now in the world with fentanyl and drugs and this and that and other. On the news again yesterday at the airport, they had a report about fentanyl found in the candies again, people. Please understand how we must be abreast to what's going on with Halloween, what's going on with the candy, what's going on with our children. So urgently important to be understanding that. So let me go ahead now and get into this song right now. I'm muted out.
TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations.
Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, tensions continue to run high throughout the West Bank districts of Judea and Samaria. Israel rejects a UN Commission of Inquiry report as neither legitimate nor credible. The Islamic Republic of Iran tells the West to mind its own business as the Ayatollah regime is vigorously condemned for its brutal crackdown of Iranian protesters. Deadly clashes were reported on in the West Bank city of Jenin when dozens of Palestinian gunmen opened fire and hurled improvised explosive devices toward an operational border police force. The reported incident occurred overnight when, as part of Operation Wastebreaker, a border police special operations unit in cooperation with the IDF and ISA, or Shin Bet, operated in the city of Jenin for the purpose of arresting a wanted assailant suspected of terror-related activities. After apprehending the suspected terrorist, a group of Palestinian gunmen engaged the Israeli force, which responded with live fire. And while no injuries were reported among the Israeli troops, hits were identified among the Palestinian militants. Subsequently, the Palestinian Health Ministry announced that a 19-year-old man was killed and 3 were injured by IDF gunfire in Jenin. Separately, IDF, ISA, and Border Police Special Operations units operated in the city of Hebron and the villages of Turmusia and Dir Jarir. At the culmination of the operational activity, it has been confirmed that a total of 4 suspected terror operatives were arrested. No injuries were reported to the Israeli troops. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Authority's leading Fatah faction held a day of rage yesterday, during which it called upon the residents of both the West Bank and East Jerusalem to hold a one-day strike in memory of the terrorist responsible for the deadly terror attack at the North Jerusalem Shafat crossing roughly 2 weeks ago, and who was subsequently killed in yet another attempted act of terror at the entrance to the town of Ma'ale Adumim on Wednesday night. As a result, businesses closed across the West Bank and East Jerusalem throughout the day yesterday.
اساسا هي البلد مضربه بدون هالاضراب، لا في حركه تجاريه صفر، اوضاع بالمره وعن هيك خلاص تضامن مع الشهيد.
While the Palestinian leaderships in both the West Bank and Gaza Strip voiced grief over the death of the terrorist, Israeli Prime Minister Yair Lapid hosted the civilian security guards who neutralized the terrorist and praised them for their bravery.
נטרלתם מישהו שהוא כבר רצח, ומי שרצח ממשיך לרצוח עד שמישהו עוצר אותו. אתם הצלתם חיים של אנשים. זה קשה לעיכול, אבל זה ההגדרה של גבורה, לעשות מעשה שמציל חיים של אנשים. זאת ההגדרה שלו.
Meanwhile, the United Nations Human Rights Council published findings of a commission of inquiry that proclaimed, quote, "The Israeli occupation is unlawful under international law." Well, the commission already published a first report in June of this year, in which proclaimed that Jewish Israelis were the root cause of the Israel-Palestinian conflict. In its present findings, the so-called experts of the Commission of Inquiry focused on illegitimizing Israeli presence in disputed territories, including the West Bank districts of Judea, Samaria, and the Jordan Valley, as well as the Golan Heights and East Jerusalem. Moreover, the Commission, which does not recognize Israel's sovereignty over Jerusalem, claims repeatedly that any Jewish neighborhoods in the eastern part of the Israeli capital are in effect settlements which violate the human rights of Palestinians. It is worth stressing that the absurdity of this Commission's findings are seemingly detached from reality, both on the ground and from a historic perspective. Moreover, its 3 members are known for anti-Israel activism and rhetoric, with one of the Commission members, namely Milun Kotari, publicly questioning Israel's membership of the United Nations. Meanwhile, in response to the published findings of this Commission of Inquiry, the Israeli Foreign Ministry highlighted the illegitimacy of commissioners who made anti-Semitic comments and who proactively engage in anti-Israel activism both before and after their appointment. Moreover, the Foreign Ministry statement underscored that the commissioners are part of the anti-Israel agenda that sadly still exists at the United Nations. The only thing their words and actions do is to continue to damage the credibility of the United Nations and its human rights mechanisms. Meanwhile, in Washington, the U.S. State Department voiced its contempt of the UN Human Rights Organization. Nevertheless, it still intends to study the Commission's findings.
We'll take a close look at that report. It has just been released, so can't offer a line-by-line analysis at this point. But what I can tell you is that we have made our concerns about this Commission of Inquiry clear from the start. Israel is consistently unfairly targeted in the UN system, including in the course of this Commission of Inquiry. Israel is the only country that's subject to a standing country-specific agenda. When we re-engaged with the Human Rights Council last year, and later when we were elected as a representative to the Human Rights Council, we did so knowing that the Council has tremendous potential. It's precisely why we wanted to engage and ultimately why we did re-engage. But we also recognize that there are needed reforms. This is an effort that we continue to work towards to see to it that Israel is not unfairly singled out, and I use that term unfairly, put emphasis on that. No country, the record of no country should be immune from scrutiny, but no country should also be targeted unfairly, and that's the principle that we seek to uphold.
It is important to highlight that at a time when the Islamic Republic of Iran is brutally repressing its citizens at large and women in particular, Iran remains a member of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women.
Iran's membership on the UN Commission on Women is contemptible. It is beyond inappropriate. It is outrageous. We've always been clear that some of the worst human rights abusers sit on certain UN commissions. I think this is, unfortunately, a good example of that. We have worked in the UN system beyond what we've done using our own authorities and with our own voice to condemn the violence that Iran is perpetrating against, in many cases, the brave women and girls who are doing nothing more but exercising rights that are as universal to them as they are to anyone else. We were one of 54 countries that issued a joint statement at the Human Rights Council calling for Iran to cease the disproportionate use of force against what are undeniably peaceful protesters. We don't believe Iran should sit on this commission. We're going to look at proposals to affect that outcome.
Meanwhile, in New York, a UN Security Council meeting was held last night debating the 20th anniversary of the adoption of UN Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security, which naturally drew much of the debate's attention to the atrocities being committed by the Ayatollah regime in Tehran.
The eyes of the entire world are on Iran right now. Courageous and brave Iranians from across society, women and men, are protesting the death of Mahsa Amini. They are protesting the fact that she was killed by the Iranian morality police for the crime of being a woman.
The current issue of particular concern to Germany is the ongoing crackdown on women's rights in Iran. We must reverse all these trends and fully take advantage of the potential that lies in greater participation from all genders and from marginalized groups.
In response to the growing number of condemnations and actions undertaken against Iran, the Ayatollah regime's deputy representative to the United Nations lashed out at the so-called West, telling them to mind their own business.
The tragic death of Mahsa Amini, a young Iranian girl, has broken the hearts of not only our government, but also the people of my country. We regret the incident and hope to never have to witness such a heartbreaking loss again. A thorough investigation was carried out to determine the circumstances that led to these tragic deaths. So far, the findings of 2 preliminary investigations have been shared with member states and UN-affiliated organizations. Iranian women are smart, well-educated, dedicated, and patriotic, and are aware of their rights. They also understand how to engage with the government in a peaceful and constructive manner in order to advance their rights. Therefore, we advise those Western states that they are not required to act as guardians or caretakers of Iranian women or speak on their behalf.
It is important to explain that the Ayatollah regime is vocally convinced that demonstrations taking place throughout Iran have nothing to do with the murder of Mahsa Amini by the Islamic Republic's morality police. Rather, the regime regards weeks of social unrest to be Western conspiracies.
اینا ناچار شدن عکس العمل نشون بدن، یعنی کارشون کار انفعالی است، ابتکار نیست، برای اینکه بتوانن خلاهایی رو که برای اونها به وجود آمده پر کنن. این کارها رو شروع کردن، برنامه‌ریزی کردن، پول خرج کردن، افراد زیاد رو به میدان آوردن از شخصیت‌های سیاسی دنیا، از آمریکا، اروپا، جاهای دیگه.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to encourage you this weekend to pray for our persecuted brothers and sisters worldwide and for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan wishing you a Shabbat Shalom u'Mevorach, and we will see you again on Monday at the same time.
Okay, guys, before I get into the other news, Monte Judah especially, I wanted to bring this news article up. I was trying to contact them to make sure I can show them on that channel, but I'm going to just show a clipping of it here. Coming from Israel 365 News. It's talking about Euphrates. Everybody's talking about Euphrates. Euphrates River begins to dry up, a prophecy of Jeremiah. As you know, it is a prophecy of Jeremiah, and so it is happening right now. A lot of articles are out about Euphrates River drying up. So I will leave this link in the description box, people, for you to go see the rest of the article. But yes, a lot going on over there in Euphrates. It flows through Syria and Iraq to join the Tigris, and it empties into the Persian Gulf. So a lot going on over there. So as it says in Isaiah 44, 27th chapter, Isaiah 44th chapter, 27th verse, it says, "Be dry, I will dry up your rivers." Okay, so it's absolutely happening right now before us. And the Mississippi River is getting pretty dried up here in America too. So a lot going on there too. So I'm going to go ahead and get into a few other news clippings I have at the Monte Judah, but it's not too many. But I'm going to announce to you, while I have this up, I might as well go ahead and announce it right now. Some other breaking news that I think you should go watch. I will put all these links in the description box. Babylon, ex-UK Prime Minister, I know that she was talking about this article about Boris may come back to fulfill this prophecy. So Kerry was talking about it, that he would come back, and now he's returning because this ex-prime minister, the other one, have given up the position. So I put this in the description box, And also I have the other one here, a prophecy of the curse of cannibalism, a zombie-like illness coming from God Healer 7. And also this one coming from Master's Voice, Celestial, I think. She's talking about war is coming, end times prayer call, October 3rd, 2022. So I will put this in the description box as well. I know I listened to most of it last night, but it's a very powerful message about war is coming and why war is coming and all the things going on around us right now. So I would definitely do that. And also I'm going to be putting in some other links, but you got always put added additional links. So I would do that. But right now I'm going to get over to Monte, Judah, and then I will come back and play another about the 2 comics. Maybe I go ahead and play the 2 comics now, diving into the sun today, and then we'll get into another one here. I want you to go listen to, forgot about off-grid desert farming. He have a message on his report on Russia, going on, a lot going on, and also I'm forgetting what I'm doing here. I'm going to go ahead and play these 2 short links before I get into Monte Judah, because Monte Judah message is 30 minutes long, okay? So let me go ahead and get into this one from Guam, coming from Lewis in Florida, and then I will get into the one about the comics, and then we'll get into Monte Judah. And that's all I really have anyway, so, and these other links will be in the description box, okay? So let me go ahead and mute out and do that.
My name is Louis. Today is October 21st, 2022, and welcome to the Grand Supreme News channel. Before I start, guys, give this video a big thumbs up and share this video. We got some breaking news updates, and guys, we have some huge information coming out. The Sleeping Giants B-1B bombers have landed in Guam to deter adversaries and reassure allies. All right, guys, so we are seeing more of these planes being shipped out, not only to NATO drills, but is also being shipped out there in the Pacific Ocean. And on top of that, Mr. Burns is going to be sending $50-something billion to the yellow and blue country starting January 2023. It's going to be ASAP. And the reason why they're doing it that much is because there's a possibility there will be new people in the spotlight this coming November. VOTE. All right, so $50-something billion. My goodness. My goodness. That's insane. $50-something billion going to go to the yellow and blue country. All right, so this is where we at right now, guys. On top of that, Mr. Burns is sending all these crazy planes. We could see WW3 by the end of this year. Hopefully not, but again, everything is in God's hand. All right, guys, before I start,
Yeah, I have another link here too, guys. Please don't forget about Dutch sense, okay? These volcanoes are going on, and we got earthquakes going on, and it's just really a lot of things are happening. It's he have full coverage on this video that he did here on the 21st. So please, I will put it in the description box. I don't want to forget about that. And so I'm going to go on over here and get into the 2 comics. Man, comics, I'll tell you, I like comics. But anyway, and then we're going to get into David House, and then I'm going to get into Monte Judah, because I forgot about David House short message I want to share. I will do the Halloween thing after the other 30-minute video there by Monte Judah. I would do her a little bit of it and let you guys see the rest later, because I can't play the whole thing. So let me go ahead and do that right now.
World News Report today. Today is October 22nd, 2022, noon central here in the U.S. God bless you and yours no matter where you are in the world, folks. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. This is a NASA article, and it's completely incorrect, but we'll go into that. This broke today. The sun is about to swallow another comet for the second time in a week. A bright comet is diving into the sun. The Solar and Heliospheric Observatory SOHO is monitoring the comet's approach. This is a Kreutz sungrazer, a fragment from the breakup of a single giant comet many centuries ago, named after the German astronomer Heinrich Kreutz, who studied them in the 19th century. Kreutz sungrazers pass by the sun and disintegrate almost every day. SOHO has seen thousands of them, most measuring less than a few meters across. Many are too small to see, but occasionally a bigger fragment like this one attracts attention. There's no chance this comet will survive. As it approaches the sun on October 22nd, fierce heat will completely vaporize the comet's icy core, leaving it most a faded, decapitated tail. Stay tuned for an updated movie later. P.S. If this story gives you a sense of deja vu, it's because this exact thing happened last weekend when another Kreutz fragment dive-bombed into the sun. It really does happen all the time. Now, what they missed here, guys, is that there were two comets. I went over to SOHO, pulled up the movies, and slowed it way down for you guys. I'm going to show you. There's two of them. There's the first one coming right there. There's the big one behind it. Both headed towards the sun. Let's take another look at that. How could they possibly have missed the first comet and only called out the larger one? Well, anything's possible with NASA, but watch. Here comes one, which I, of course, thought was going to be the comet. This is my own video here. Wait for it. Wait for it. Have it way slowed down so we can see it. Here comes the first one. There it is right there. And then right behind it, the second one. Same path as last week, both of them. 1-2 punch, guys. Wow. God bless you and yours. Please.
The headline here, it says, Putin's martial law orders signal changes to Russian life may only just be starting. And the article goes on to bring out the fact that homes can be seized and property can be seized during this declaration of martial law. This is something that many have not considered in light of what we have been studying in light of Bible prophecy. When we understand that every constitutional right will be repudiated, we must understand even the right to be able to own property. And when martial law is declared in America, we will know as well that we could see the possibility of our property and or homes being seized in the process. Why is this so important? Notice here what the Bible says in Matthew 24 and verse 27. How can we foreshadow and foresee this possibility in America when America is invaded? Notice what it says in Matthew 24 and verse 27. It says, For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Notice that we have events beginning in the east and then swing over to the west. We've studied this before. So as we see an invasion currently taking place in the east, this has been going on for months as Russia has invaded Ukraine. And we know based on prophecy, we are going to see an invasion by China and Russia upon American soil. And under martial law, all your constitutional rights are suspended. Therefore, you could lose your property in a moment's notice. Hence the reason we have been advocating the teaching of understanding now's the time to rent and to be able to be mobile, that should God say, I need you to go to Africa, or I need you to go to Central America, or South America, or to Europe, or to Asia. God can send you there free of any hindrance, free of any mortgage, free of any debt in regards to owning property. And at the same time, should you choose to sell it, the funds can be utilized to pay debts as well as forwarding the gospel, just as we see in the book of Acts. That's Acts chapter 4 and 5. We see under the outpouring of the early rain, the disciples yielded all to Christ. And as they laid their property, laid their homes on the altar and sold it, they used the funds for the forwarding of the work. They laid the money at the apostles' feet. This is so important because many are falling into the trap that the enemy desires, where your money, your hundreds of thousands of dollars, can be tied up in lands and in property at a time where it should not be tied up there. So please be prayerful. Please walk by faith and allow the word of God to govern in these matters. It is so important. Notice this video that elaborates on the matter that as martial law was declared, they seized homes and property.
This morning, the people of Kherson are caught in the middle. Thousands in the port city that has been under Russian occupation for months, now being ordered to evacuate by Russian-installed leaders. Some getting text messages that read, "Dear residents, evacuate immediately. There will be shelling of residential areas by the armed forces of Ukraine." The evacuations, an apparent reaction to Ukraine's counteroffensive in the region, recapturing villages and farmland in recent weeks. Ukrainian officials accusing Russia of trying to create hysteria. It comes on the same day Russia's President Putin declared martial law in the 4 Ukrainian regions currently occupied by Russia. I have signed a decree, he said, introducing martial law into these 4 entities of the Russian Federation. Under the order, Russia can, it says, legally seize Ukrainian homes and property, move civilian populations, and create local militias, meaning Moscow may try to force Ukrainians to fight against their own country.
It seems his only tool available to him is to brutalize individual citizens in Ukraine.
From Mykolaiv in the south to Kyiv in the north, the Russian bombardment continues. In just over a month, at least 239 drones have been shot down by air defenses, according to the Ukrainian military. The ones that make it past those air defenses are frequently striking infrastructure targets. 30% of power plants have been destroyed. Other times, civilians pay the price. Here in the capital of Kyiv, 8 dead in 24 hours. All the while, the threat of a nuclear attack looms. Children drill in a nearby school here in Kyiv, and while bulletproof vests are necessary on the battlefront, swim caps and goggles must do here on the home front.
Now, Ukraine is asking countries around the world to help with its air defense system. Israel, the latest to offer a hand, saying it will help provide that very important early alert system, but holding back on the ammunition needed to actually shoot down the drones. Officials here are hoping to get that from the United States.
Notice here in another article, it says, Russia-Ukraine war, Putin declares martial law in annexed Ukraine as evacuation of civilians starts. So also we can expect for individuals to be evacuated from certain areas, not necessarily by the enemies of America, but evacuations can take place either due to radiation, nuclear devices, bombs, destroyed area, just all, chemical hazards, all kinds of various issues that may come about due to being evacuated. So imagine if you have to evacuate a property that you own, now you can't even sell the property. And again, it is Satan's plan to trap God's people in tying up their money by burying their wealth in the earth and not in heaven. And many are burying it in the earth by purchasing large homes, large properties. This is a trap of the enemy. Please do not fall into the trap that the many within present truth are falling into. This is a deception of the enemy. We need great eye salve. Please read Early Writings, page 56, 57, and understand prophetically where we are at this time in its history. When you correctly study the book of Acts, you see that in Acts chapter 2, the disciples were traveling. They were moving about to do the work. They were not stationary by any means. Likewise, those who are the 144,000 will have Christ's experience. As Jesus said, foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. That's Matthew chapter 8 and verse 20. So please do not be deceived by the enemy in regards to this matter.
Shalom, everyone. I'm Monte Judah with Lion of Land Ministries. Welcome to another edition of Messianic World Update. Today's date is Friday, October 21 of the year 2022. Well, I've been gone for a couple of weeks. Glad to be back. And while I was gone, I was enjoying the Feast of Tabernacles Sukkot. I trust that you were able to do the same thing. The year is now turned, and we're now marching forward. In Israel, at Sukkot, they had the formal reading of the law to the people of Israel. They brought in military leaders, political leaders, religious leaders. They all took part in the reading of the law, which comes at the end of the 7th year. This particular year that was previous was the 7th Shemitah, or sabbatical year of a set of 7. Therefore, the year of Jubilee has been declared for this year. Let me just say to you that the way this works is while they've declared the year to be, which is the release of debt, the release of slaves, those in service, and also a journey to the promised land to possess the land that was promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That actual implementation date is not back then when it was declared. It is in the month of Nisan, which will be around our April time frame, which is the first of the head of months. So we have the year of Jubilee declared. It's the Grand Jubilee. It's the 70th one in the history of Israel, but it gets implemented in the springtime. That's very prophetically significant for us to watch. Let me cover a couple of other things by way of news. You know that the elections are coming very quickly in November here in the U.S. It's the midterm elections for senators and congressmen, not necessarily for the president. And there's a lot of interest on the part of whether or not the House of Representatives will then have the majority of the Republicans. It's a toss-up with regard to the Senate. No one knows for sure. There's a couple of races that could tip either way. But it's very close. So everybody in the U.S. is watching that. In Israel, their elections are also coming at the same time. And at the moment, the last report I can give to you is the polls show that the Netanyahu coalition, he's in the Likud party, will win 60 seats of the 120-seat Knesset. He needs 61 outright to be able to have a simple majority to form a government. The opposition is coming from the existing Prime Minister Lapid. In his coalition, he has 56 seats. Two other parties, Hadash and Ta'al, are small parties. Between the two of them, they have 4 of the votes in the Knesset. That's the latest poll. Based on the election, we'll have to see which way this tips with Netanyahu, but it appears that Netanyahu is going to be the next prime minister of Israel at this point. As to the finagling that has to be done to put together that vote, we'll have to just watch and see how that goes. In the last couple of weeks, Prime Minister Lapid, upon seeing the number of Jews going on the Temple Mount, praying openly on the Temple Mount, he has called for the suspension of all of that activity. He wants all of that blocked. That might tip the scales, with some people. And the other political party that's joining with Netanyahu, the religious Zionism party, and we have Ithamar Ben-Gvir, who's the leader of that. He's very, very pro-Israel, pro-Temple Mount, and so we may see advances and the political landscape change concerning the Temple Mount if Netanyahu's coalition government gets into that position. We're going to watch that very closely to see how that plays out. If that were to go that way, we might be able to change the landscape of the Temple Mount to the point that the Jews will be granted not only to go up and pray, but maybe to have a piece of it to build an altar. We'll have to watch and we'll have to pray about all of that. But it's exciting times, and we're watching very closely the results of the election and what it could mean for there. Let me also cover just a couple of other news items that are happening at the moment. Iran has now made an agreement with Russia to sell rockets and missiles to Russia. Apparently, Russia doesn't have enough rockets and missiles to use in Ukraine. Apparently, they shot them all. And so Iran is now in the business of selling rockets and missiles, and two of their very top, very accurate weapons are being sold to the Russians for that. Israel has been requested by Ukraine to offer Iron Dome anti-missile sights, Iron Beam, the new laser system that they have, other defensive mechanisms. Russia has taken a very strong stance against Israel if they do that. Israel just made a decision and said they're going to send sensory systems, but not the actual weapons. What's that mean? They're going to send the radars and the sensory equipment that will see things coming into Ukraine so that Ukraine can use other things with regard to it, but they're not going to give them the Iron Dome rockets or the missiles to be able to shoot them down. That still helps Ukraine, and at the same time, they're not sending weapons, actual weapons, to the Ukraine. Israel just secured, with Prime Minister Lapid, an agreement with Lebanon with regard to the Karish gas field that's in the Mediterranean Sea. And apparently, there's a lot of opposition to this in the government of Israel because essentially, Lebanon got everything that they had asked for, and what they were asking for was absolutely outrageous things. As to whether or not that deal is going to go all the way through, we don't know, but we do know this. That Karish gas field is extremely valuable. It is valuable to Israel. It's valuable to people in the Middle East. It's valuable to Europe, in fact. And this could be where it talks about in Ezekiel 38, the war that will take place with Israel, the spoil that the prophecy specifically says the enemy comes to take spoil. Quite honestly, there's a lot of bananas and fruit and flowers in Israel. That wouldn't necessarily be the spoil I would think an enemy would come after, but the spoil of this Karish gas field would be incredible for it. So we're going to continue to watch that. Also, in the last 2 weeks, we now have a definite date for the coronation of King Charles III, and it is going to be May 6th of 2023. And if you get your Hebrew calendar out, you will find out that's the month of Iyar, and that means that that coronation date is exactly 42 Hebrew months to Yom Kippur in 2026. 42 months is the significant prophetic element that we're looking for. That is the one that says that the anti-Messiah, the beast, is only granted that amount of time to rule, and we know that the Antichrist comes to his end at the day of the Lord, which is Yom Kippur, on some future year. As a result of King Charles coming into the prominence, the whole world is very intrigued and watching him right now. There's a multitude of news stories internationally all about him and his family, and Harry and Meghan and William and Kate, and we're just inundated with stories about everything, down to what does he like to eat and what he doesn't like to eat. The bottom line is that his prestige is now rising dramatically. When he was a prince, he wasn't regarded with high esteem, but now, as he comes to king, why his prestige is increasing, and his interests on the international scale is now increasing. He's still going through in the next few months a lot of different things he's doing, building up his base and so forth, but he has a definite interest in what's coming next year, which is the famed global reset that comes from the World Economic Forum. I'm going to share with you just a little bit more information about the World Economic Forum and the global reset, the things that King Charles is interested in along with the world elites. This is beyond governments. This is beyond other leaders. Combination of very rich VIPs, corporate leaders, governmental leaders. That's what the World Economic Forum is pulling together, and they're trying to take the approach from the global above all nations for this agenda. Let me just share with you some of the goals. And these are things that King Charles has spoken about. These are the things that are of his interest. They want a new social contract. And what they want is they want a new definition for how humans operate in the world. Now, right now, we're citizens of the United States of America. They want to shift that to somehow you have responsibilities at a global economic level and a global climate level. And so they want to shift that you have to be have allegiance to those things that they want to do on a global level. And if you're contrary to that, then there's a different understanding for who you are. They want to see public and private cooperation between governments and corporations. They want to see governments being able to use corporations to implement policy when the government couldn't necessarily make a law, but they'll get the corporation to carry it out. Here just recently, we saw where there was an organization that wanted to develop something, but it wasn't necessarily in alignment with climate change, and the banks refused to loan money to them simply because of that climate change was now taking precedence in terms of banking business. And that's an excellent example of how a major corporation is joining with the WEF to carry out their agenda. Very clearly, if you look at the real details of the global reset, it's to definitely keep the rich to be rich. It is not necessarily helping the middle class or other less privileged peoples in the world. It is clearly to keep the rich rich. There's a new monetary system getting ready to come in. Now, this is interesting. We have been talking about where it's digital money. That's true. And so major purchases have to go through a digital system that is controlled by them. And if they don't like the agenda that money is being used for and it's contrary to their goals, they can basically stop it. They all know that at the lower level, the way you beat the system is operating cash only or barter. So what they're going to do is they're going to clamp down on how much cash can you use to do business. And for example, in Israel, they are looking at the rule that a individual person can only use a certain amount of cash for a purchase. Beyond that, it has to go through the bank. It has to go through this digital system. Same thing for businesses. And by the way, these numbers are way clamped down to where if you've got a business, you can't operate that way. And if you're really trying to do everything that you need to do in your life, you're going to be hard-pressed to be able to fit within this system. They are also, they're going to tie all governments to climate change. If a government of a nation is not supporting climate change, then that government, that nation, is going to be clamped down on at a global level. People won't trade with them, they won't agree with them, and they'll isolate them. And in this global economy where everybody buys and sells and needs things from different nations, this is going to be very difficult for any nation to resist this, because they'll have to tie into that agenda, for it. Now, the interesting thing about this is there has to be one date in which some of this is already philosophically started, but there has to be one date in which that we get up and suddenly they've instituted this change and they're going to rebalance or reevaluate all currencies. Now, this gets where it gets scary. In other words, what they're going to do is they're going to come in and they say, okay, you have $100, and oh, by the way, given the global scheme and everything that's going on, your dollars now are worth only 80 of the digital currency. They'll reevaluate. Now, in some nations, that same $100 will become $120 worth of value. They're going to kind of balance the playing field for everybody. And the whole idea is to eliminate all national debt. Right now, the United States is printing money just as fast as they can to keep up with the growing needs of inflation and keep up with the growing needs of the fact that we are at the greatest debt we've ever been. And by the way, we're at the debt that there's no way that we can recover. And the other nations, they're at the same place. They are barely hanging on. And so this whole reset is, okay, let's absolve everybody of their debt and we'll rebalance all currencies, we'll globalize it, we'll bring it together, and we'll have the control, they will have the control. But supposedly it solves our problems with regard to national debt and so forth. You probably saw on the news just the other day that the United Kingdom, the new prime minister that came in, this lady, she was only in office for 45 days. She came in and she proposed a tax cut for British citizens. Well, that's not going along with the rest of the game with regard to the World Economic Forum and all of these agendas. And so she's basically been ridiculed and opposed, and even King Charles came out against her, and so she's resigned. And we're now looking for a new prime minister for that. A lot of people don't know this, but the way the monarchy works within the United Kingdom is the people, the government, the political parties, they decide who the prime minister is going to be. However, the monarch, in this case King Charles, can say yay or nay. They can say, I don't want this prime minister, and can have them removed, and then the government has to come up with a new one. So he has the final selection with regard to it. King Charles III just exercised that right, that power as monarch that he had. And that's the reason why the United Kingdom is getting a new prime minister for it. So with the reevaluation of all currencies getting ready to take place and the devaluation of dollars, and that is what's going to happen, the question is, when is the date? Now, I have been sharing with you before that the previous word that we heard was the global reset was supposed to come in 2023, essentially in the first quarter of 2023. I have now one report. I still don't have the confirmation for it. It comes out and goes away very quickly on these matters. But the latest date that I have heard with regard to this is May 6th of 2023. Wait a minute, that's the same date as the coronation of King Charles. I don't know if that's an incredible coincidence or not, but it does, if that comes true, they will now connect this business about this financial system to him as well. And oh, by the way, that's what the prophecy seems to speak to, that this new financial system of buying and selling is connected to the beast. It's connected to him. So that's an amazing coincidence. If that's true, I'm going to continue to seek confirmation on that and see if I can nail that down further. But that's the latest word that we have with regard to it. The key operative word in the global reset is the term sustainability. They want to be able to have sustainable government, sustainable resources, and all the things that they want to do. The thing that is now happening and going to get worse, and it's already in place, and some of the elements are now being found out, and it's really going to get bad into the next year, is the cost to borrow money. Right now, the cost to borrow money is so high that smaller people just can't, smaller businesses just can't keep up with it. They can't do projects. And those that can, they have supply chain issues. We just can't get sometimes the parts. If you recall, there's a bunch of automobiles that got built recently. They don't have the chips for the navigation system. They don't have the integrated circuits. The labor market is a problem. We have many jobs that are open in many businesses, and we can't get people to go to work. We can't get them to fill these jobs. And on top of that, on top of everybody, is inflation. And all of these issues are putting pressure on all the Western governments, particularly the United States, with spelling that there's great difficulty coming. But let me tell you about the difficulty that's coming to Europe very soon. They don't have enough gas. They don't have enough energy to be able to run the company. This last week, there was a public service announcement in the United Kingdom, Britain in particular, in which they said, now, if we lose power during this winter, you're not going to have internet, you're not going to have phone service, you're not going to have televisions because you have no power to your homes. So what you're going to need to do, if you want to get public statements and hear what's going on, you're going to have to get in your car and tune your AM and FM radio for government announcements as to what is going on. I'm not making this up. That's exactly what they're putting out as public service announcements right now. By the way, that will probably be happening in other nations in Europe as well, because Europe is in trouble. They don't have enough fuel coming in to get them through the winter. The southern hemisphere of the United States is heavily dependent upon adequate food supplies that comes out of Russia and Ukraine. By the way, that area supplies 40% of the grain and food for the rest of the world. They can't get it. They can't buy it. And while the Russians want to ship it out, guess what Europe and NATO did? They put requirements on where they can't get insurance for the ships that would haul it. They can't get passage through certain things. And as a result, it's clamped down and nothing can get shipped. And you can expect to hear about famines in the southern hemisphere of this world coming this winter and into next year. The movement of weapons, you notice that Europe and several others have been sending weapons to Ukraine, and the Russians have exhausted many of their weapons, the conventional weapons they've been using in the war. And what it's come down to is that both of those powers, Western powers and Russia and those powers, they've come down to the point where they have a few conventional weapons and lots of nuclear weapons. So the pressure is on. If this thing continues to escalate, Russia and Ukraine, Russia against Europe and so forth, we're getting down to the point where the only weapon they have in their holster are these nuclear weapons. And that is putting more stress on everybody that we could be on the brink of using atomic weapons as a part of the military, the philosophy. Let me summarize a couple of things for you. The United States' great strength since World War II has been basically three things. The United States has had the control of oil. And oh, by the way, the dollar is the only currency used in buying of oil throughout the world. And it is the reserve currency of the entire world. We were economically gigantic at the end of World War II compared to everybody else. Everybody else got devastated in World War II. The United States was intact. We had our factories. We had our capability. We had money. We were doing very well. And oh, by the way, number two, we had the greatest military force in the world. Number three, our dollar, that we had, the money that we had in the United States was sound. It was based on the gold standard. It was backed up by gold. Now, no other nation could compare to us after World War II, but there's been some shifts since World War II. If you remember President Nixon in his day, he took the dollar off of the gold standard. It's now, the dollar is now tied to the value, are you ready for this, of oil. Suddenly that is the key thing, is oil dollars. Well, with all of this climate change coming in, with all of the new policies that are coming into trying to get away from fossil fuels, guess what's happening to oil? Guess what's happening to the strength of the United States and those who had oil? That strength is diminishing rapidly. The military force that we've got, we have some very superior weapons, but we don't have nearly the military force we used to have. And the United States have been deployed so many times since World War II that we've lost equipment and so forth. Afghanistan, I don't need to mention to you how much equipment we lost out of that deal. And there's a reduction of the military force of the United States, and that's what's viewed by other nations. And now, with the global reset, the dollars that we still have, they could be devalued in this whole thing and balanced out against other currencies. This all spells disaster in a whole host of ways. I want to remind you, I put a program out early in the spring. It was about the 4 horsemen, the 4 seals. Let me remind you again what the 4 seals are. Number 1, the white horse. It's a king who comes a-conquering. There's a new leader. The red horse, peace is taking from the earth. There's war. The black horse, he's holding the scales and saying a daily wage that's what it takes just to get bread for the day. That's the economic collapse. The last horse is the gray or ashen horse, and that's death. People die from famine and from war and disease. There is no question that those things are getting ready to happen next year. We may be seeing them before the end of this year. Now, those are the first 4 seals of the Great Tribulation, and they're all going to come at the same time. Not one and then another and then another. No, they're all going to happen at the same time. And if we do this global reset, and it's going to come in the second quarter of next year, well, you're looking at the correct chemistry and all the prerequisites are in place for those judgments to hit at the same time. Now, if that's what's going to happen, that we're going to see King Charles to fill in this role, and we're going to see all the aftermath, and it lines up with the judgments that God has prophesied that he's going to do, well, then that would mean that the Great Tribulation has to start this winter. Now, am I prophesying to you that that will happen? No. We still have many other prophecies that need to be fulfilled, not the least of which we need to get that altar built on the Temple Mount and the daily sacrifice started. And when the daily sacrifice is stopped on that altar, then we have the first step of the abomination of desolation. The second one is the Anti-Messiah being displayed on the Temple Mount. My friends, we can see the day approaching. I feel like I'm standing up on the bridge and I'm looking over the horizon and I can see the mast of that ship coming. I can see the superstructure that coming. Can't quite see all of the ship yet, but I can see it's coming. And that's where we're at right now. Now, let me go one step further. The Anti-Messiah is to rise to power in the midst of 10 rulers. He's called the little horn who rises in the midst of 10 horns. And it specifically says that he is different from the other 10. And we are now looking at the people who are calling for the global reset, the WEF, and so forth. And I've been doing a little research. You can do the same thing. You can go up there on the internet and punch in global reset, World Economic Forum, all the stuff that I'm saying. And they're not hiding this. This is well-known information. They've been talking about this for a long time. So let me just rattle a couple of things off that we're talking about. Who are the people that are at the top of this thing? Who are these world elites that are at the top and that he's supposed to rise in the midst of? Well, you may have heard of a guy named Klaus Schwab, who's with the WEF, been there for 30 years. Maybe you've heard of the Rockefeller folks. David Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller, those are the guys behind the IMF and the World Bank. Those are the guys that control banks in the world. And then we have the Rothschilds. Now, this all sounds like some grand conspiracy. Let me tell you something. These are real people, and they all have the same agenda. These are the world elites. These are the ones that tell governmental leaders what they're going to do. And governmental leaders follow their counsel. Now, King Charles is operating in the midst of them, but he's completely different from all of them. He's a monarch. They are industry giants. They are bank leaders. They are governmental leaders. The WHO, the World Health Organization, is tied together with the WEF. Council on Foreign Relations, that's part of it as well. You ever heard of GATT? G-A-T-T, General Agreement on Trades and Tariffs. They're involved as well. I'm barely just getting started. That group that has been meeting over there in Davos, you know, every year, you know, a couple of thousand people come in. They get special badges, I just found out. The world elites get to wear a badge that's a white badge with a blue stripe. Everybody else has different colored badges. If you're wearing one of those white badges, you're recognized by the WEF as the world elites. Only a few people get those. Now, all the staffs that come with them, they don't get that same badge. It's down to a couple of handfuls of individuals that are stepping up at the lead. King Charles is in the midst of them, but he's different from them. They're all pulling the strings. They're all making these things happen. I want to make you aware that the prophecy says 10 leaders. The little horn rises in the midst. There's going to be a conflict. 3 of them are going to get uprooted. The other 7 are going to say, okay, to the anti-Messiah, okay, you're in charge. That's how he comes to power. Exactly when, we're not sure. But my suspicions are something's going to happen about the time the global reset gets actually done. I want to leave you with one final quote on this whole subject. This is from Klaus Schwab. And one of the things that was presented to him was, you know, if we keep making these societal changes, we keep moving on climate change, you know, climate change and fossil fuels, if we have them go away too quick before green energy is ready to go, and by the way, that's exactly what we have. We are taking away fossil fuels and we're promoting green technology, but green technology, everybody's beginning to notice this, can't keep up. It can't meet the present needs of the world. And we're going to go through this period where all of a sudden the world is not going to have enough food because we don't have the equipment that uses diesel and oil, fossil fuels to do it, and we're not going to have enough food, we're not going to have enough energy for all the different things that have to be done. The quote from him when he was confronted with this, he said, the societal changes must come first before green technology comes online. And we recognize that there are going to be many people who are going to suffer from food and energy shortages throughout the world. They're doing this intentionally. We're observing it here in the United States. We have the ability in the United States to have all the fossil fuels we need. We're not being permitted to do so because we're trying to move to green energy. And that's what everybody's trying, the government is trying to sell everybody. We're not fools. We can see this. And it's not only here in the United States, this is what's going on elsewhere. The world elites are loving it that Europe is going to run out of energy this year. They're loving it that the Southern Hemisphere is not going to have enough food and a whole bunch of people are going to go away because they think we have way too many people in the world to begin with. And to make the world sustainable, We need to make some drastic changes around here. Ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't describe the Great Tribulation better to you than that. That is how crazy this world has gotten. You need to pray very seriously. You need to open your eyes and pay attention to what's going on in the world, because things are changing, and they're changing very, very fast. With that encouraging word, let me end with this. God knows about all of this, and apparently God's going to be using this to usher in his kingdom. He is going to bring his enemies to bay, and he's going to come back and establish his kingdom. What we need to do is be in parallel with his plan, not the world's plan. And that means we're getting ready to leave Babylon. That means we're going to leave Egypt, and we're not going to be part of this world anymore, and we're not going to participate in all of their plans for it. Right now, there are people in the survival state that says communities are going to have to find a way to be self-sufficient within themselves. And that communities and those like them will be using the existing monetary system that we have today, only at a very small scale, and nations can't operate that, but small communities can. So we're going to see how all that works out for us, and apparently that's kind of God's plan as well, since he says that we're going to be on a greater exodus than the one out of Egypt, and we'll be in the camp of the righteous, dwelling in the tents of the righteous. So that's something for us to look forward to. Actually, with a very good point of view, I would love to see the Lord come back in my lifetime. And I know a lot of people who would love to see that too. We may have just have won the great spiritual lottery of the ages of the human beings on this earth. With that word, I leave you to enjoy your Sabbath. Shabbat Shalom.
Wow, 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 guys. That's just exciting message to me. I leave these links in the description box. You don't want to have to play my whole long video. You can share it with other people, but you can go in the description box and get the link and pass over to them, okay? Because I'm telling you, this is an important message for everybody to hear right now. Exodus, we're going to have a wilderness experience. We're going to, just prior to Yeshua coming, the trumpet sounding. Oh my goodness. Yes, I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm telling you guys, stop listening to these fake pastors on here. I'm so disappointed. I've been looking at some people last night I used to think I could put my trust in, and they are all involved in prison and getting in jail from stealing and lying and cheating, and all these things are going on. Then we pass it from America over to India and Africa and all these other countries because we are not doing what we're supposed to do. It's time to come out of her, my people. Come out. Come out of Sunday. Come out of Sunday. Sabbath. The Sabbath is a sign for Yeshua's people. It's time to rise up and walk right and straight. The straight and narrow pathway, people. Okay? It's time to do it now. I'm going to go on over here now and listen to a 5-minute video. I'm not going to play the whole video. It's about 5 minutes I'm going to give it, and then we're going to get into missions. Then we're going to get into the Bible, and that's going to be the end of this video for the day. I know it's already about an hour and 16 minutes, okay? But I think I'm gonna be around an hour and a 30-minute, 35 minutes maybe. But I'm telling you, don't let this disappoint you, because I know I have long videos, but I have long videos for a reason. I used to start out with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but I have to cover material for you guys to be abreast of what's going on, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do this right now, get into Halloween. I'm telling you, please share this link with your children and go through this whole testimony. I'm just going to play 5 minutes of it. It's 25 minutes long. I got to go hear the rest of it myself. I'm just going to play 5 minutes of it, okay? I'm telling you, this Halloween is dangerous and poisonous and dangerous and deadly and fatal for your children right now. With all these things going on with the drugs and more drugs. It's just really getting to be very demonic because, the devil do not like you. He don't like me. He don't like you. He don't like God's people. He don't like anybody. He just want you to be on his side, okay? And so we need to understand to come out of her, my people. Come out of this world. This world is going away, people. It's going away. It is going away. But Yeshua said he have overcome the world. Overcome the world. Hallelujah. So we need to know it's time to rise up and wake up and be about our Father's business, because time is running out. So let me go ahead and do this right now. I mute it out again.
Hi brothers and sisters, I hope you can hear me. Let me put this a bit closer. Here we go. So this video is going to be about Halloween, and from the perspective of someone who was involved in witchcraft before coming to Christ. Just for a warning, there's going to be some quite heavy things I talk about. The Lord's given me quite a burden and like a duty, I feel, to talk about these things to His people. So a little bit about my background is I was involved in the occult, and Halloween, the history of Halloween is where there's all of the history of where people used to dress up like evil spirits to try and camouflage on that night, because there was so much activity from evil spirits. And the way that the townsfolk would ward them off would be to dress like them, to camouflage like them. And if they conformed like the evil spirits, they were believed to be less likely to be targeted and messed with by the evil spirits. Now, as an ex-witch, I know that that night is very, very important for the kingdom of darkness. It's the time where the veil is thinnest. It's where you get all of your sorcerers, magicians, witches, warlocks, wizards, shamans, druids, you know, all of those spiritual people that are involved in the dark side. And you know, what we were talking about recently in the Bible study was how the occult, the word the occult means hidden, right? So a lot of those people that do ceremonies on Halloween night, a lot of them don't know that they are aligning with the devil. I mean, I didn't know until I came to the Lord. The occult means hidden, and sometimes that is hidden from the person doing it. A lot of the time, people are involved in the occult without even knowing it. And see, the enemy is like this. He tricks us. And so, let's rewind it a little bit. And I'll just share with you a little bit about my story. I was involved in witchcraft as a child, very young child. I asked the air, and if you're a Christian, you know that the devil is the prince and the power of the air. I asked the air, the universe, I asked anything to show me the truth. I didn't ask God particularly when I was a child. And I was led through these series of events of just getting more and more entangled in witchcraft, because I thought that that was where I could find truth. Because that's why I thought that the realm that we can't see, which must happen, must exist, there must be more to life than this, I thought that that existed. And as a young child, I delved really deeply into witchcraft. And I also practiced dark magic, voodoo, and I've renounced all of these things. I did Ouija boards all the time, took them to school, got loads of people involved with them when I was young. I was very, very foolish and very, very willing to explore this realm at a young age. Now, this ended so badly for me. This ended up with me being completely terrified and terrorized. It led me to seeing dark shadows walking around my door. Every time I looked at my door in my bedroom, I would see around a 7-foot dark shadow silhouette moving across. I would see and I would be pushed down to the ground from above. I would feel a heavy force. One time it pushed me down to the ground. I had voices, I had condemnation, I wasn't aware of God, but I was aware of the devil at that point. And when I got involved in magic, it was too late, or so I thought. And I was told. I was owned by the dark forces, that I was inherently evil and there was nothing I could do about it. And I carried this condemnation as a child for a very long time because I was involved in witchcraft. It opened up doorways to me as a child that no child should open. And I was so nervous. I used to sleep at night time with the bed covers over me with a tiny hole to be able to breathe out of because I was so terrorized. I used to count every word that I said on my fingers. It was like a nervous twitch, and if I said enough words to have a space on this finger, then I was good, and then if I didn't, I was condemned. And there was just so much for my small child mind to deal with when I'd opened up that can of worms of witchcraft and magic. It's real. It's real. And believe me, you don't want to be in a place where you get involved in that frivolously and sillily and then end up realizing, what have I got involved in?
Okay guys, I can't play no more. You gotta go listen to the rest of it, okay? Share it with your friends right now. The link will be in the description box, okay? Please, okay? A lot of people need to hear stuff like this right now because of all the devil lies and the deceitfulness going on. All the things we've been told as children growing up. I told you, when I was 7 years old, I went out trick-or-treating and I hated it. And I came to the door and knocked on the door, and the man come to the door with a rifle. Get off of my porch. And you know, ever since then, we running, me and my brother running. I'm losing my shoe. I didn't want to have nothing to do with Halloween, nothing to do with it. I don't think I ever did it since that time. Don't want to have nothing to do with it now that I really learned about it, okay? And so we need to wake up and wise up right now, people. I'm going to go ahead and play the other videos now. We get into the Bible. We're going to go to missions. And then my husband going to join me. So let me go ahead and do that because this video is running really fast.
যারা পাইছেন বসে যান।
All right, guys. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Thank you for the missionaries. They take risks. I have to come back and to show some of the prison ministries too going on. They took pictures over in Kenya again, but it's a lot going on around the world. We need to be doing what we can while we can. It's time to work while it's day. Work while it is day. Soon, many things are coming where we can't work, and we're going to be working up to the end of the end of time. So I'm going to go ahead and let my husband get into Isaiah 57 because time is running out here. We thank you so much for bearing with us today, or being here today. I know I haven't been here but twice this week, I think. Very busy. We know just two people working, very busy. We really appreciate your prayers. So Father, be with us as we go into your scripture here from Isaiah. Ask your Holy Spirit to come join us and be with us as we read it to the people right now. We ask it in the mighty name of Yeshua Messiah. Hiya. Thank you so much, Father. So Isaiah is full of good stuff here, people. God is our merciful God. He want to be with us all through trouble. So we're going to read this. But I know one thing he don't care for. He don't care for idolatry. So he covers a lot of things here in this chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and let you start.
All right. Hello, Isaiah 57, the first verse. The righteous perish, but no one considers it, and the people of covenant faithfulness are gathered away. But no one understands that the righteous is gathered away from the evil. Mm-hmm. He enters into shalom. They rest in their beds, those who walk in their uprightness. But come here, you sons of the sorceress, children of the adulterer and the woman who has prostituted herself. Mm-hmm. Whom are you merrily mocking? Against whom are you opening the mouth and sticking out the tongue? Are you not children of rebellion, children of deceit? You heat yourselves up having sex together under the oaks, under every green tree, you who kill your children in the dry riverbeds, under the rocky overhangs. Among the smooth things of the river valley are the things that have been assigned to you. They are the object of your devotion. You pour out your drink offering to them and raise up a grain offering. In these things should I take pleasure? You prepared your bed on a high mountain. You also went up there to offer sacrifices. Behind the door and the doorpost you set up your symbols. You deserted me, made yourselves naked, and went up. You made your bed wide. You made a covenant with them. You loved their beds. You saw their private parts. You went to Molech with oil. You multiplied perfumes. You send your ambassadors far away. You went down to the place of the dead. You were tired from your long journey, but you never said, "It is hopeless." You found life in your hand, therefore you did not weaken. Whom are you worried about? Whom do you fear so much that has caused you to act so deceitfully? So much that you would not remember me or think about me.
That's right. Why are we letting this world take us down? Why are we letting the devil take us down? Why are we allowing Satan to take our crown? Why are we walking away instead of walking to Yeshua and getting closer to him now in these evil days, people, instead of getting drugs and alcohol? And, you know, every time I go out, I see people just all into all this stuff, like gambling, I mean, just the drinking and just partying and just drugs and just pot and dope. They want to bring mushrooms here in Colorado. I mean, you know, it's all about getting high, getting high, getting high, getting high. Why don't you get high off of the Holy Spirit? That's what you need, is the Holy Spirit. We need the Holy Spirit, people. It's time to come out of her, my people. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Because I was silent for so long, you are no longer afraid of me. I will proclaim all your righteous acts and tell all that you have done, but they will not help you. When you cry out, let your collection of idols rescue you. Instead, the wind will carry them all away. A breath will carry them all away. Yet he who takes refuge in me will inherit the land and will take possession of my set-apart mountain.
Yes.
He will say, build, build, clear away, remove all the stumbling blocks from the path of my people. For this is what the high and elevated one says, who lives eternally, whose name is set apart. I live in the exalted and set apart place, with him also that is of a crushed and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble ones, and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. For I will not accuse forever, nor will I be angry forever, for then man's spirit would faint before me, the lives that I have made. Because of the sin of his violent gain, I was angry, and I punished him. I hid my face and was angry, but he went backward in the way of his heart. I have seen his ways, but I will heal him. I will lead him and comfort and console those who mourn for him. And I create the fruit of the lips. Shalom, shalom to those who are far off and to those who are near, says Yahweh. I will heal them. But the wicked are like the tossing sea, which cannot rest, and its waters churn up mire and mud. There is no shalom for the wicked one, says the Almighty.
No peace for the wicked. And so Yeshua say he will heal us. He will heal us. Do not listen to the devil. I know many people suffering with mental illnesses and, health problems, physical problems. I tell you now, I don't live by sorcery. I live by the herbs and the natural things that God have given us to live by. My husband could give you his testimony on that sometime, but we don't live by all these things, pharmakia. You know, we need to be trusting in Yeshua right now, trusting in him alone. He will heal you. He will deliver you. He will help you. But you got to believe in him, people. You got to believe, okay? You know, you can't even come to salvation unless you believe in him. As he said in John 3:16, for God so loved the world, we are in the world, of the world, in the world. He loved the world. He died for the world. He died for us. He will heal us. So for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. It's time to really decide on who you're going to serve. Are you going to serve the world? Are you going to serve Yeshua? Are you going to walk with the world? Are you going to walk with Yeshua? Okay, it's time to understand it's not but two powers. Which one are we going to follow today, people? Time to stop being so compromisable with everything, compromising everything. So many people are dying all around from the, from the jabs and from this and from that, because they trust in Yeshua, they trust in the world and trust in sorcerers and all these things instead of trusting the Father, the one who made us. He should know more about us than anybody. He made us, people. So I'm going to go ahead and end, because I get into here a 2-hour video here the way I'm going. But I hope you see all the news links that I posted from the things I mentioned today to listen to. We're going to be having another blood moon coming up in November, I think sometime. Yeshua is about to come, people. We need to get ready. War, bloodshed, and all kind of things going to be happening. Are you taking a personal weekly time with Yeshua with bread and wine? You should be taking that time with him for your sins every week. We do it on Shabbat, but you should be having some time set aside. He says, as much as you do this, it's a remembrance of him. It don't have to be on a holy day. day. It don't have to be on a Sabbath. Don't have to be on. It could be on any time you feel like you need to take some time aside with Yeshua and do bread and wine with him, people. It's time to really know that these people here are out to destroy us. They are trying to get things all ready in the whole world. We'll wander after the beast system, as Monte Judah just told you about. So we need to be getting ready, people. Don't forget the homeless, but please just get ready, okay? Just please get ready. We're going to go ahead and go on over here and close out because this video is getting really overly today. Let me go ahead and try to close out because there's just so much going on. But guys, thank you for being here today on this Shabbat. I really appreciate it. Click the subscribe, like bell. Click the like button, click the notification bell. Also, thank you for all your offerings to help the homeless, the orphans, the widows, and those in need in mission fields. May Yahuwah richly bless each and every one. A $10 bill, a $20 bill goes a long way with the homeless, and we really appreciate it. All your offerings coming in all the time. Please be with, this is the hashtags here. Also donate at Cash App. Also here at the digital business card, and then we also have the other donation options at our website at fmcmi.org, marner.campbell@gmail.com, at PayPal. Also, you can write in, as majority of my givers write in, mail in your donations to Fill My Cup Ministries, Post Office Box 414, Canyon City, Colorado 81215. And also shipping address is Fill My Cup Ministries, 1501 Main Street, number 414, Canyon City, Colorado 81212. So I'm going to have to go ahead and end the video. I'm going to probably end it out with Maranatha because I didn't get to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and end it out with Maranatha. But I'm going to go ahead and let you pray, and then we'll just play Maranatha at the end here. Where is Maranatha here at the end? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and let you pray. We're going to go over to Christ, our helper and redeemer. He's our helper and redeemer. And so I'm going to go ahead and let my husband pray, and then we will close out. You won't hear me again. We're going to just play Christ, our helper and redeemer. Okay, go ahead.
Father, we thank you, Father. We're sorry if the video is long, Father, but help people to hear and open their hearts to hear and to see and believe and follow you. Father, we're so excited that we're coming closer every day to the end of days.
Yes.
So bless us, Father. We thank you for blessing us. Thank you for protecting us from the evil one. And we're looking forward to meeting you face to face in the air. In Yeshua's name, amen.
Amen. So, guys, you have a wonderful Shabbat. And I'm going to go ahead and let this play. And then you won't see us or hear us again till another video. So I'll see you guys on another video. Let me go ahead and mute this out. Where am I at here? Yeah, okay, let me go ahead and mute this out, and we'll see you on another video. Okay.
August 4, Christ our helper and redeemer. As by one man's disobedience many were made sinners, so by the obedience of one shall many be made righteous. Romans 5:19. Because man fallen could not overcome Satan with his human strength, Christ came from the royal courts of heaven to help him with his human and divine strength combined. Christ knew that Adam in Eden, with his superior advantages, might have withstood the temptations of Satan and conquered him. He also knew that it was not possible for man out of Eden, separated from the light and love of God since the fall, to resist the temptations of Satan in his own strength. In order to bring hope to man and save him from complete ruin, he humbled himself to take man's nature, that with his divine power combined with the human, he might reach man where he is. He obtains for the fallen sons and daughters of Adam that strength which it is impossible for them to gain for themselves, that in his name they may overcome the temptations of Satan. Adam and Eve in Eden were placed under most favorable circumstances. They were without the condemnation of sin. The author of their existence was their teacher, but they fell beneath the power and temptation of the artful foe. 4,000 years had Satan been at work against the government of God, and he had obtained strength and experience from determined practice. Fallen men had not the advantages of Adam and Eden. They had been separating from God for 4,000 years. The wisdom to understand and the power to resist the temptations of Satan had become less and less until Satan seemed to reign triumphant in the earth. Appetite and passion, the love of the world, and presumptuous sins were the great branches of evil out of which every species of corruption grew. Our lives may seem a tangle, but as we commit ourselves to the wise master worker, he will bring out the pattern of life and character that will be to his glory. And that character which expresses the glory, character of Christ, will be received into the paradise of God. Everyone who by faith obeys God's commandments will reach the condition of sinlessness in which Adam lived before his transgression.